Look out, baby. See, the bagpipes are a war instrument. So every time I hear them, I either want to make love or fight. Today, I don't know which one I'm going to do. Sometimes it's fun to do both. Baby Jesus. Welcome back to Piper's Pit. I hope you lived from the last one. Holy cow. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. First of all, I want to shout out to Rowdy Ronda Rousey. She is one gal, I'll tell you. She's in the UFC. And the fellow who trained me, Judo Jean LaBelle, is in her corner training her. And she called me and asked me if she could use my name, Rowdy. And she promised me. She was so sweet. She promised me she wouldn't let me down. And you almost have me in tears. I have 3 daughters, okay? You guys know how to do that to a dad. And then Rhonda forwarded me this picture she had with, for those, in case you're living under a rock, Rowdy Ronda Rousey is the premier lady UFC champion of the world. She was, I believe, she was a bronze medalist in the Olympics in judo, trained by my dad, Judo Jean LaBelle. And she, I was talking to Jean, and I think her first fight in UFC, she had this gal, she had her in an arm bar, and the gal wouldn't tap. And I'm talking to Uncle Gene. Uncle Gene is Judo Jean LaBelle. I've known him. He saved my life when I was about 17 by choking me out on a regular basis. And so Uncle Gene, he's watching, and she's got Rhonda's got the armbar on this gal, and Uncle Gene just says, "Break it." Pop. She broke it. Holy cow. When there's Uncle Gene works out at a dojo in Burbank. Judo Jean LaBelle works out at a dojo in Burbank with the Armenian Assassin. He's another great MMA fighter, jiu-jitsu player. They have a little beautiful Armenian dojo down there, and there's only one shower, and that's for Gene. And if there's some wise guys, tough guys, they say, "Come on down to the dojo," and they put him against Rhonda. Nothing better than getting your butt kicked by a girl if you think you're a tough guy. So I just wanted to say to Rhonda dressed up with a little hot rod T-shirt, and there's like this really cute little kilt and boxing gloves, and she's just wonderful. One time somebody asked me, do I think she should be the face of the UFC? Well, I understand business, and Dana White, I've had the pleasure of meeting him. He's very kind to me. Yes. Why not? Be a first. She's wonderful. You don't get no more go in a gal than that. And now I think it's the Expendables. She's in the next Expendables, which hardly pisses me off at all. Steve Austin in the Expendables. Where's Roddy Piper? He's expendable. Got rid of him. Baby Jesus. So jealous. But Steve Austin is a really fine man, and he's the reason I'm here. I'm going to tell the story again real quick because I want to. I did Steve Austin's podcast in this very room. And I don't know Steve Austin. I've said this before. Steve Austin, The Rock, Mick Foley, they're a different generation than I am. I was at war when they went to the WWE. And after I did the podcast with Steve went with the head cook and bottle washer podcast one, Norm. And I was having dinner. He says, you should give Roddy Piper a podcast. It's a first-class man. Anyway, I like to, I have so few things done for me. Nice, what I do. I like to give them note. I got to tell you, if you don't know, well, you know who I'm going to have on once I tell you. But as far as like a man, I've never I've seen very few men with as much heart, with as much, just pure work ethic, just drive in him, has accomplished so much in his life, and we're going to get to spend some time with him. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the only diamond cutter worth his salt in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, DDP Diamond Dallas Page. I love you, bud. How you doing?
Hey, Roddy. I'm actually in Vancouver. It was an old stomping ground of yours, I believe.
Holy cow, don't mention my name.
all I've gotten from about your name today was love. So I've been up since 5:15 this morning doing PR for this thing I'm doing for DDP Yoga workshop at the karate tournament they have up here. So
outstanding. So you've been up since 5:15?
Yeah.
Working with these karate guys?
Well, actually, a lot of them are actually teaching. A lot of the guys who are here in this form of karate, and I always say it the wrong way because it's one of those hard words to say. Like, karate. I can't say it. But the guy would be so mad at me. My buddy who got me involved in this, because I can't pronounce the Japanese the way they do it.
Gotcha.
But this is the karate tournaments where they really hit each other.
Full contact.
Yes, they can hit in the head.
Gotcha.
They can kick in the head, and I mean full-blown kicks, no pads.
But they can't hit in the head.
Right.
They could make good wrestlers. Rules like that. Well, good. So what are you doing with them? Are you getting them warmed up?
There's some actually teaching here, right? The guys, a couple of them are certified in DDP Yoga, and that's sort of like stretching out around the world right now. I've been to the UK about in the last couple of months. I got a couple of guys out there that are certified. Now I got a couple in Canada. A lot of them to the United States. But this is pretty cool when they have the practices, the way I do. Their disciplines are very similar to what I do with DDP Yoga when it comes to actually calling. I was going to say calling the match, but calling the work.
Yeah, I got you. Thrust kick.
Yeah, right, exactly. But a lot. They're great, and it just really helps because just like we got so many of the wrestlers doing it now, but these guys are beat up. These guys are warrior studs, and they need it. So it's part of their discipline that they're working into. A lot of the to be a part of this Canadian World Championships is pretty cool. And then I'm going to do a workshop tomorrow on Sunday between 1 and 4. So it's a good trip all the way around.
I don't know how you do it. For those, just let me help these people if they don't know them, been living under a rock again. This gentleman here is one of the most driven, kindest men I know, and and it's easy to see because obviously I love him. He's my brother. He's in my business. He's one of the best. So I just want to prove this to you. There's a fellow named Jake Roberts, Jake the Snake. Baby Jesus. Jake told a story about me. I'm going to get to you here. I'm deathly afraid of snakes. And a long time ago when Jake first brought a snake to the dressing room, he was fooling around. And he tells a story. I don't remember, but I guess I put a gun to his head and said, I don't like snakes, and he never bothered me again. But, however, as Jake was going along and rolling, and we all know Jake, and he just got in the Hall of Fame, and I was there, and he did a really. Did you see his speech, Dallas? Did you see?
Yeah, well, as soon as I got to the back, I didn't really get to see it all because, of course, I'm going in transition as I'm inducting him. I'm walking off as he's walking on, and I got pulled for different stuff. So, but when I got home, I got to watch it in its entirety. It was strong.
It was strong, and I'm not sure that it. I'm not qualified to judge, but I'm not sure that that was the audience or the place for it. But the one thing at the end of it, Jake got into very, very some deep, dark topics. But by the time the end of it came around, because He's so good, he made it full circle, and it made it all make sense, and they loved him for it. My point is this. The reason that Jake could stand up there and make that speech is because of you. And that's a fact.
Well,
that is a fact. I know. And that's a fact. I've seen Jake many different occasions, and we've all prayed for him, and, been there myself. So, I'm not throwing no rocks. But when you're talking about DDP yoga, I think, something I just want to ask about this, because you're always talking about DDP yoga, and I think Chris Jericho is a huge fan of it. Some other guys that we'll get to in the professional wrestling game, and these martial arts guys, and the form of which I have promised to do like 176 times. It's like my biggest lie right now that I'm kind of carrying on. But I got to ask you something, because yes, the yoga and the way you do it is wonderful, but I got to think it's got something to do with the man that invented it, which is you. Because when I see Jake, another one, Scott Hall. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have not been a big fan of Scott Hall's. I'm comfortable with him now. Back in the day, I wasn't a fan of his. He had a tough road. But when I saw him last, I forgot how tall he was, because he wasn't laying down. And he was standing up straight, and his eyes were white and clear, and he came over and he shook my hand. Which was unusual. Now, that's another guy that you took that I would have said had died 3 years ago and nobody told him. And he got up in the Hall of Fame and rightfully so got inducted. Do you understand that it's because of you that both those men could do that? Do you grasp that, or are you just being so kind and that you're just moving on? Or do you really understand what you've done?
It was a crazy journey. And I don't know if me and you've ever really talked about this, but
I'd like to hear.
For Jake, the thing was, for Jake had helped me. Like, he helped me, and that it took a long time as any wrestler comes in, how to figure out how to get over.
Yeah.
And really how to make the people care. That's all you're doing. How do you push their buttons to make them believe in your character so much that they want to chant your name, they want to kill you.
Yes.
They want to chant your name or they want to kill you. One of the two.
Yes.
And even when they want to kill you, they realize, but I love him.
Yes. My wife is kind of like that, a tad. On the kill side, she's heavy. But no.
You've had that effect. You've had an effect on a lot of people. As far as the fans. Because how many times have you been stabbed?
3 times.
Yeah.
But talk about and I want to talk about the DDP yoga, and I'm almost willing to give it a try again, or for the first time. But I want to talk about the man that invented it, because what this is, and we've been together speaking of this, and I'm a huge booster of it, but I was thinking about it, and I knew that I was going to have you, lucky enough to have you as a guest. You're not separating the man and the program. And I think because you just told me that there are other people qualified, and I didn't know that. I didn't know it was getting that big. I know Gabriel Iglesias in Hawaii, he lost 100 pounds because of you. But it's the man. When DDP is showing you the yoga, to me, I pay attention. I don't know if Ralph Macchio was showing it to me that I would get the same out of it. I don't know, buddy.
Here's the first thing, Pipe. Here's the first thing. I never call it yoga, and I have fun with this. When people go, so I'm doing your yoga, and I really love it. I go, what'd you call it? They go, I'm doing your yoga. And I go, what did you call it? And I'm pointing on me. I'm always wearing my damn shirt. You know me. I'm promoting my stuff.
I love it.
Out there. They go, DDP yoga. I go, yes. So go on. I just think to make it its own animal and brand it like that. Just sort of now we call it the WWE, even though we for years have called it the WWF.
Absolutely.
But now we're finally brainwashed enough to know it's a WWE, but not back then, not in 1972. Yes, it was. No matter what they say, the WWE network, it's WWE.
Yeah.
So for Jay coming in,
Like
he helped me so much. He taught me so much, and that's why this journey happened.
Okay, just a second, though, just so for those who don't know, when you were breaking into the business of pro wrestling, Jake was one of your mentors. Is that correct?
Exactly. And, well, Dusty was my first one. I always
Dusty
say
Rhodes?
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes. Without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. He gave me every break that ever meant anything at the beginning of my career.
Just while we're on that, they have lists out, now, and like the 50 greatest talkers or greatest this, greatest that. And I've never seen Dusty Rhodes' name on it. And if he's not in the top 3, the list don't mean nothing. God. Anyway, back to you and Dusty Rhodes. Holy cow, I'm a big fan.
Wow. You just said it all right there, buddy.
No kidding. They got they put all these guys in there, and they're like from 1 to 10 and 1 to 50, and I got to make it up. Dusty's 34. Baloney.
Oh, God. I mean, you talk about making the people care and captivating them,
Yes.
And Dusty really, Roddy, he reached out and helped me and believed in me when no one did.
Why?
And I don't know. He said he loved my energy. Like, he would bring me when I went up to meet him for Florida Championship Wrestling, because Mike Graham, God bless him, Mike Graham was a good buddy of mine, and
me too.
He turned me on to Dusty, and he called me on the phone in the middle of the night, and I had strep throat and had to leave the next morning at 6 a.m. for doing something with the AWA. That's when I was managing back then. And he goes, Dallas, I'm going to put you on the phone with Dusty right now, and you'll blow him away like he's the biggest mark on the planet. I'm like, Mike, I can't even talk. I got strep throat. I got nothing prepared. He goes, here you go. He goes, hello. I go, good God, Dusty Rhodes, the Tower of Power, the man of the hour, too sweet to miss hour, getting funky like a monkey with Diamond Dallas Page. I went on this where I stole everything Dusty ever said.
I love it.
Lou, my own stuff. And at the end of it, Dusty was completely silent. I go, that's all I got, Dream. I got strep throat. Hello? And what a ripper he was.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like he didn't say anything for 5 minutes. It was probably 30 seconds.
Sure.
Eventually he said, was that a recording, kid? And
just the son of a plumber. Yeah,
exactly. And he brought me up there, and he brought me into Florida Championship Wrestling, and he told me he was not only going to make me, the top manager there. And I'm running a nightclub in Florida. I'm not quitting my day job. This is a hobby for me that I would love to live to dream to actually turn into making a living. But at the time, it's a hobby for me. I'm doing the AWA, and now I'm going to make $50 to work Florida Championship.
Yeah, baby Jesus.
Money.
Yes,
I'm rich. I'm on TV.
Yeah.
So
now, just a second before, because where I'm coming here, where I'm going is the men that trained you obviously did a great job with Dusty Rhodes. Now, I've seen Dusty do this interview. Dusty Rhodes, 2 minutes, TBS television. He's got a poster that these kids made him. I want to be careful here. And Dusty was out of commission, and he sat there with this poster in silence. 2 minutes, and a tear came down his eye, and he said, I love you too. See, whoa. That's all he said. So now I'm trying to figure out what's so special and why is DDP so special. And now I didn't know this. I know Dusty Rhodes. When the first time I met Dusty Rhodes, I was 16. I walked in, and him and Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch had Vaseline on their hands, and they were pushing Ric Flair's hemorrhoids back in. I just turned around and left. There wasn't a whole lot to learn just then from the son of a plumber. But with it's a true story. But
I believe you.
With Dusty being able to do interviews like that, now he gets a hold of Diamond Dallas Page. Where does it go from there?
When I had the first meeting with him, Mike Graham, Steve Kern, and Gordon Foley.
Oh, I love you.
So God bless that some gun. So Dusty tells me that you're not just going to be our top manager here. He said, you're going to be the next Jesse Ventura of the 90s. Now, this is 1989.
Wow.
All right?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to put you doing color with Gordon. And I go, Dusty, I got to stop you right there. I had to step in. I'm like, Dusty, I don't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. I could never do that. And he just smiled. And he said, don't worry about it, baby. Gordon's going to talk you through it all.
Now, listen, I got to take a break just before, and please stay with us. I want to keep on this tangent here because we're going to find out exactly why Diamond Dallas Page literally saves lives. And just before we go on break, Dee Dee, I was in Florida when, I was younger, rolling hard. And so they brought me in, and they put me in the announcing. I was going to wrestle, and Mike Graham was in the ring. I go, you know what? They love Mike Graham in Japan. Guy says, why? Because they think he's a transistor. You're fired. Yeah, again, so, we're talking to DDP, and I was fired. And so, I know everybody's busy. I know I am. But when I get fired, I got to do some stuff. And I don't like sitting down reading books. I don't like it. That's why I love Audible.com. Audible.com is for me. It's a leading provider of premier digital spoken audio information entertainment on the internet. Now, they got a library of like 150,000 titles to choose from. You can get individual books, or you can sign up for an Audible listener program. It gives you book credits each month for like a little monthly fee, and you can. I love to sit down, especially when I'm going to bed and listen to them. You can download your books and access them from your computer, iPods, tablets, any mobile device. I love it. It's quick, easy, fun. It's affordable entertainment. It's for people of all ages. Pick what you want. It's so easy, and now you can get a free audiobook with a free 30-day trial by signing up at audiblepodcast.com/Roddy. Yeah, that's audiblepodcast.com/Roddy. Yeah, baby. I tell you, if you're in an arena and you hear those bagpipes, grab the children and run. We're back with the one and only DDP. And DDP Yoga, it's not your mama's. And we were talking just before the break about when DDP teaches you DDP Yoga. You catch on. He saved lives. We're talking about Jake and Scott Hall. And so I got on to, who trained you, DDP? And we was talking about Dusty Rhodes. And if you could pick us up, like, when did you start riding with Dusty Rhodes? Because Dusty Rhodes is one of the greatest of all time. And so if he took an interest in you, there's obviously he saw what everybody else sees in you.
He brought me in. He put me with Gordon, and I remember seeing you with Gordon, man. It was it's classic. Gordon, nobody was better than Gordon, I don't think.
Nah.
I love Jim Ross. I love the way he does play. His is different. I'd say they're both, like, to me, the greatest of all time. How they would call a match.
Gordon's so.
And sit next to him. And Dusty would actually bring me into the booking meetings and stuff, and start doing any kind of market specifics. He would have me oversee the production stuff, and I was thinking, what are you putting me here for? But he knew the way that I had a mind for production. So he started teaching me that stuff. And what I would do, that would be one day a week on Tuesday. Then I would drive back up from Fort Myers, Florida, where I had my nightclub, on Thursday. And I would spend the day in the office. I would go down and get in the ring and learn some stuff so I knew what I was actually calling.
Gotcha.
And Dusty, and I sat there and we just talked the business. And that lasted about a year, and then he went to back to New York, to WWE, and they did the polka dotted gimmick, and then he came back.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Then he came back to World Championship Wrestling, and he became the head booker, and I had always stayed in contact with him, and he would actually call me back. And I think that had a lot to do with his wife, Michelle. She loved me. She said, don't forget to call Dallas. I wouldn't bother him. I would be what is called pleasantly persistent.
Gotcha.
Keeping the relationship.
Yeah.
And when he went into Atlanta, he couldn't tell me at the time, but of course he did without telling me. He said, if I was you, because I was ready to sell out my percentage of my club, and I was ready to move. I was ready to get out of Florida, and it was like move to Atlanta for an opportunity that guaranteed me nothing, but going to be a manager, and let's see what happens with your career. Like guarantee you $350 a day, no guarantee, no contract, anything to speak of.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity. He put me with the Freebirds right away. I got to be a manager with those guys. And Michael took me under his wing big time. I'd met him in my travels, when I was doing something with the AWA, and we clicked. And I never realized how alike we were until we got together.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
With Michael Hayes you're talking about?
Yeah, well, we were alike in the way of our character on TV was very similar, but completely different.
Sure. The first time I met Michael Hayes, I was in the shower down when, I don't know, TBS, and he came in the shower and he looked at me. He said, you ever been pissed on in the shower? I said, not by anybody that's alive. We haven't spoke since. Anyway, no, it's a true story. But so you got with Michael Hayes.
I got with Michael Hayes
after Dusty.
Well, no, he put me with him.
Gotcha.
He put me with them, and I learned a lot from Mike. And then Scott Hall called me up, and he's like, "Hey, Dally." Now we had met in Florida. I just missed him in the AWA, but he was in Florida with us. And he knew I had this idea for the Diamond Stud. It was a character. And he said, you look like Andre the Giant with those tiny little Freebirds. He said, but you wouldn't look so big if you were next to 6'6" and 295 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal.
So the Diamond Stud.
Right. That's where that came. And Roddy, I came up with the black hair, lose the mustache, the brush-cut beard, and the toothpick, all like in a matter of a week. And Scott went for it all because they weren't going to look at him because he'd been in twice and didn't get over.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to bring him back. So when we changed his whole look, I mean, God, he looked like New York called him the first time he was on TV. New York called him that night and said, whenever you get ready to come up here, we got a spot for you. And when he was time for him to leave there, he left. But, Scott didn't forget what I did for him, creating that gimmick and getting him a job when they didn't want him. Yeah. And Scott tells the story the same way I tell it because it was a real story. And then when he came back, so what happened was they took Scott away from me managing him, and I was a fourth-string color commentator with Eric Bischoff. We were like 2 o'clock in the morning in Moose Breath, Iowa.
Brother, you came up hard.
But that's that's my spot. So if now I'm not managing, if I don't make something of myself, if I don't keep this ball, I get 7 months left on my contract. I'm like, screw it. If they're not. If they're not going to let me manage, I'm going to go down to power plant and learn how to wrestle. And Michael P.S. Hayes, when I told them, because it was my last time I was going to manage them, when I told them I was going to stop managing because they wouldn't let me anymore and go to training to be a wrestler. P.S. We were in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that blue curtain there before you walk out in Chattanooga? He fell down on the ground laughing his ass off. Now, of course, Jimmy Garvin was laughing too, but you're 35 and a half.
Yeah.
Who's going to believe you're going to make that transition?
Nobody.
And nobody. Exactly.
Nobody.
And I went down that power plant, and, of course, they tried to run me off. Because that's what our business is always been like that. We're gonna make this so hard on you that if you stay, okay, you pass test 1.
Yes.
And
then they'll do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again.
And the next guy to believe in me, and I don't really mention him all the time because most people don't know who the assassin was, but Jody Hamilton, I know
Jody Hamilton. He was great, and a great teacher.
Yeah, and he taught me psychology. And one day I was sitting there. I was the first one there. I was the last to leave. I was there to set the precedent, and nobody was going to freaking bust my chops anymore because I was going to work harder than everybody.
And you do.
And Jody said to me one day when I was getting changed, he goes, Diamond, I'm not saying it's possible, but I'm saying if you keep doing what you're doing, you may have a shot at this.
What a
And,
whoa!
you know,
Well, must have been a good day for Jody Hamilton to say that to you. Must have been a good day for DDP, huh?
It was.
Did you feel good about yourself?
He helped to keep that going.
He's a miserable sucker. He doesn't say nice things to anybody. You may he may be the only one. So you're with Jody Hamilton and at the power plant. He's taking you on. Dusty Rhodes has taken a kindness to you. You got in behind in the production, which is unusual. You usually come in the Poom plus one other match, and then Scott Hall. And when did Jake come into it?
Well, I started wrestling, and they put me on TV in 3 weeks. And,
no pressure.
I did pretty good. Yeah, I did pretty good, though, for you being scared out of my mind.
Absolutely.
And I was on a roll, and then Jake came in because he'd left New York, and he was coming in. This is before Watts got there. And this guy, Kip Fry, gave him the most money he's ever going to make in his life.
Yeah.
And got to know, I met Jake back when I had this club in Fort Myers, Florida. Because, if you're leaving Tampa and you got to get to Miami, well, Fort Myers is the spot to lay over, especially you got a guy who's a wrestling fan who runs this nightclub, and you drink for free.
There you go. Yeah. Hard to get rid of us.
Exactly.
We check in, but we just don't check out at all. Don't want to.
not for a deal like that. The club was killer. So I actually knew Jake, but he never knew I started doing the managing because we missed places with each other. And when he came in the power plant, I was in the ring, and he looks up at me and he goes, "Paige, now that you?" I go, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I thought that was you," because he had seen me on TV, but he didn't. I was basically a job guy going out there and winning an enhancement match once in a while, but basically, doing the favor. And we started talking, and he told me he was coming in. So it came down to going to a town. He said, me and Kevin Nash were tag team partners at the time, and he was like, we'll be your driver. We were Jake Stooges, and he taught us a lot.
Yeah.
Just stuff he'd stay in the car. You know how important that is.
Yeah. And Jake's a master psychology, man.
And when I tore my rotator cuff and they let me go, Jake, at that time, Bill Watts had come in by then, and Bill Watts killed Jake's deal.
Gotcha.
So Jake was doing independence, but he called me to see how I was doing. And we started talking, and him and his old lady had been split up. So, it ain't like us to be any big deal to have to live in a hotel because we live in hotels.
Yeah.
But I went to Kimberly. I was married at the time. I said, "Baby, what do you think about Jake moving in for a couple of weeks?" And I said, I could really learn from you. Yeah, right. You're laughing. She didn't know,
Gotcha. And you were trying so hard to be sincere.
Yes, I was.
Gotcha.
Because I knew what it could do I knew it would help him a little bit, but I knew it really helped me.
Yeah.
Because he still was in it, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get in the ring with you once his shoulder gets healed up. Because I was about a month out at that time.
Gotcha.
And he was like, dude, you already know how to do all the moves. You're going to learn more on that couch with me watching these matches than you're ever going to learn in the ring with me.
There you go.
And, I got to do a bunch of tours with him, and eventually he got thrown out of the house. I told that story at the Hall of Fame how he lost the 12-foot Cobra in the house.
Which, you just heard those, and I know you know this story, but I remember the Red Rooster, Terry Taylor. I was there the first day they had him as a Red Rooster. The worst rib ever. But
right.
And so Terry Taylor's healing the room with Jake. They're in the same room, and Jake had been out maybe at your club, whatever, and he keeps the snake in the bathtub, as we all know. And so except for Terry, and Terry's sleeping, and all of a sudden he wakes up. I don't know, make it up 3:00 in the morning, and the snake is halfway across his neck.
Oh my
and he's
God!
Going, Jake, wake up! Well, Jake's, 7 sheets to the wind. In any case, 4 hours later, rather neurotically, Jake got the snake off. So now you're in with the snake. And you got to tell Beverly.
Kimberly.
Pardon.
Beverly.
That was my date.
Right. Whoever she was. I could tell Beverly, too.
Yeah. Oh, baby Jesus. So he lasted how long in the house?
Actually, 3 months.
3 months.
And when he left, the really cool part was he never left helping me.
Yeah.
And he got back with Cheryl at that time, had couple more kids, and
Nice.
I could bring my matches to his house, and he would sit back there, sucking on his cigarette,
Yep.
Critiquing me. Like, that's good. Oh, I like that. I never saw you do that before. Lose it, and then one day I caught the diamond cutter out of nowhere.
Gotcha.
And he got the biggest smile on his face. He goes, now you're starting to get it. He goes, you got to surprise the people. And so, this went on right into 96 to where my career took off like a rocket. And then, he was split up with his old lady again. He was all over the world. And we talk occasionally on the phone. And in 1997, around the time you came in to give me a rub, around that time, it was 98 you came in.
Yeah.
But around 97, he called me. And all he said was, congratulations. And I said, Jake?
That's cool.
He goes, yeah. I go, congratulations for what? He said, reinventing the DDT.
That's pretty
I was
cool.
like,
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That puts chills on you. Coming from him.
Yeah.
Coming from him, bud. That's, I don't
the
know.
The move of the 80s,
Yeah.
that he stumbled into, that it became so hot.
Holy cow.
And so over that period, now I start making, great money. Then it went to crazy money.
Yeah.
And Jake, I lost touch with him because he was here and I heard nothing but, how he's doing so bad. And, he'd come around and I'd help him. And then we just lost touch with each other for a long time. And then I was trying to find him. And when I found him was about 18, I guess now 19 months ago. And when we got on the phone and started talking, I was like, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing great. I'm like, really? You're doing great? He's like, no, I'm not doing great. He goes, it sucks. He goes, I hate life. He goes, I hate waking up. I'm pissed off at God. He went on a tangent.
Yeah.
And,
so let's just right there for a second, though. Have we ever, we've like I've been there. I hate life. Life sucks. That's a really dark place to be, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Oh, and not that you've been there, but like just with Jake.
There, but not like that. Not like that.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Bad. And I got to take a break, but as we come back with DDP and DDP Yoga, it's really interesting, some stuff here. That what we're doing is we're finding out what made the great Diamond Dallas Page and now who's really saving the world one person at a time. Oh, man. They couldn't have given me the guitar and become Paul McCartney. No, I got the bagpipes and became Roddy Piper. And you're back on Piper's Pit. Don't forget to go to rowdyroddypiper.com, Twitter me, villain T-shirts. There's Heidi Fleiss has nothing on me. Go see. We are so graced today to have Diamond Dallas Page and DDP Yoga. And we just before the last break, it really got interesting to me because I know these guys, Dusty Rhodes. I know him a long time, and I didn't know Dusty Rhodes took an interest in DDP. Dusty Rhodes doesn't take an interest in anybody unless there's really good grounds for it. He's very old school. I understand it. And that's a huge mark for DDP, for Dusty Rhodes. Jake the Snake to take an interest in somebody is just about impossible. And for him to take an interest in DDP, Scott Hall, for him to take an interest in anything other than a cocktail, and him, you got a pattern going here. And by what I want to say too, Scott Hall has an unbelievably great kid named Cody Hall, who's just a rising star. With all that said, and then we were talking about Bill Watts, tell a little story about Bill Watts so you know what DDP was dealing with. Bill Watts used to be a promoter in Oklahoma, and the first time in the Superdome, where the last WrestleMania was, he had a Superdome show. And it came time to pay, and there was the envelopes, and he gave the envelopes to the main event, and he gave them to the rest of the people. And other than the main event, everybody else that wrestled on the card opened the envelope, and it said, there was no money in it at all. It said, you should just be proud that you were on a card this big. So this, having that's Bill Watts. That's why I never worked for him. Having guys like Bill Watts with that kind of tyranny around, and then hardcore guys, Dusty Rhodes, Jake, Scott Hall, want to come back to DDP. These are people that took an interest in DDP when they didn't have to. My point being, I think DDP is a pretty special guy, but I need to show the listeners why, and I got to do it my way. So, Didi, when did you finally? We talked about Scott, and we just talked about how dark Jake was, where he was in a bad place, and I get it. I've been there too many times. I just got 4 of the most beautiful kids in the world. Wife of 31 years that saved me. When did you start taking or discovering, inventing, whatever the words are, DDP yoga, and why? What prompted you first to get that whole ball of wax going for you and learn it and do all the math?
Well, it was necessity. And I'm a guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. But when you start wrestling at 35, and your career takes off when you're 40, which was 96, 97, 98, I was on top of the world. And I didn't have a big contract in 97 and 98, and I worked every other main event or co-main event over 97 and 98.
Yeah.
And I finally got paid. I finally got the multi-million-dollar deal. And then I blew my back out, and I had 3 of the top back specialists tell me that my career was over.
Jeez.
And all of a sudden, you'll try anything. And I'd rehab both knee surgeries back, both shoulder surgeries back. So I knew quite a bit about rehab and, breaking up scar tissue, which is what causes pain.
Yep.
And I figured I'm going to do this for my back too, but the rehab wasn't cutting it. So I threw into yoga, and within a couple of weeks, I felt a significant difference. I kicked all the spiritual mumbo jumbo off to the right because I wasn't into that. I respect it, but I'm not into it.
Yep.
And I created something on an animal all its own that had yoga positions, rehab positions, old school calisthenics, and something I call dynamic resistance. And when you are engaging or flexing muscles, it jacks your heart rate up. It gets you in a fat burning zone, literally standing still, while you're breaking up scar tissue and getting more flexible as you're building strength in your body.
So was it like a trial? Like you knew these, you had rehabbed this, you had rehabbed that. Was it kind of like a trial and error? This works, this doesn't work. The spiritual part that you had respect for just wasn't for you. Is that how it came about?
Yeah, by accident. Really, Roddy, by accident. By necessity.
Like most great things. Isn't that true?
By necessity. And in less than 3 months, doing what would become known as DDP yoga, I was back in the ring. At 42, they said my career's over. At 43, I'm the heavyweight champ.
Wow.
And
wow.
I once I got to that spot, I knew I was never going to stop doing this the rest of my life, but I also knew that I couldn't stop doing it because if I did, it's like if you stop brushing your teeth, they're going to fall out.
There you go, baby. There you go.
You got to stay ahead of the preventative maintenance. And you see, when I went back to Jake that day when I was on the phone with him, and he was like, I'm pissed every morning I wake up and I'm still alive. Why didn't I die? That was his mental.
DDP, just a second though, just so catch us up timeline. So you had gone through this, you had rehabbed, and you were doing great. And is this when you get the phone call from Jake that he wants to die yesterday?
Well, no, actually, when I was doing great, my wrestling career, when I got back in the ring and, won the world championship and then had tag teams and U.S. titles and all that, that was the end of my wrestling career. I was in sporadic touch with him then. Then I retired.
Yeah.
And I went to Hollywood and did a bunch of movies there and had fun there doing that.
Yep.
And then I went back to TNA just for a little while to show what I could do at 49 years young.
Nice.
Got my little run in there, got my nice little payoff, got out and retired at 49 and focused all my time on what would become known as DDP yoga. And Jake and I had lost touch each other for quite a few years. And when I called him, this is about 18 months ago, and it's probably one of his darkest, maybe the darkest spot in his life.
Yeah.
And we hung up the phone, and I called him back. because I knew Jake would, I couldn't say, here, let me send you the workout and do the workout and blah, blah, blah. I knew I couldn't approach it like that with him. I said, let me just send this to you.
Yeah.
And I just want you to read it. Don't do anything. Just read the food part, because I know you're in so much pain.
Oof.
I'm telling you, real food will start to heal you and make you feel better. I know you probably don't believe this is true, but, you're 307 pounds and it's all the weights in your stomach. Let me help you with this. And, if it takes, I said, I have an idea. And I said, but I want to see what happens in the next 2 weeks. So I gave it to him. I sent it to him. And 10 days later, he calls me back. He said, D, I just broke under 300 pounds. He goes, I'm 8 pounds down in 10 days.
Hallelujah, which is great for Jake.
Yeah, it's amazing, but he's still brittle and the whole deal. So I said to him, I said, Jake, I have this idea. I said, I want to come down tomorrow. I hopped on a plane, me and my business partner, Steve Yu, and we flew to Dallas, Texas, and then we drove to Gainesville, Texas, and Steve's got a camera with him. And we weren't going to light it up unless Jake went for it. I said, listen, I have this idea. It's more of a vision than anything. I said, but I honest to God believe if you do this, like I'm going to show you how to do this program. I'm going to break it down for you in its simplest form. I said, if you can lose another 15 pounds in the next 2 months, I will move you to Atlanta. I will move you into a house that I'm buying there. I said, and we'll go on this journey together, because I want to pay you back for what you did for me bad. But at the same time, I got to believe you're willing to put the work in. And the bottom line is, I said, I want to start filming a movie, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
And he was sort of pissed at me because all he could think about was Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this ain't Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat was stiff.
Yeah, and he gave them, never should have, gave them free roam to get someplace. It reminds me of that movie, The Fighter, with Mark Wahlberg, where his brother, played by Christian Bale, thinks that HBO's doing a story on his comeback. They're doing a story on this crack addict that used to be a great boxer.
Yeah, and which is, in our business, would be more likely the what somebody would be doing. It's hard to believe that somebody would have the sincerity that you had, but you see, you had the respect and you loved him.
Exactly. Yeah, I did.
And he probably couldn't grasp that in his case, right where he was at.
Not at that time, but he did once, because as soon as he called me up, he's down, dude, I'm down like 16 or 18 pounds, whatever he said to me. I said, stop right there. I'm coming down here to get you right now. And I wanted to document it all. Wow. And when we got up there, I mean, there's some really emotional stuff. And our goal, the goal, when I said to Jake, I said, I know you don't believe this, but me and my business partner, Steve Yu, we talked about it. Imagine if Jake, not this year, but what just happened on my birthday, April 5th in New Orleans. Imagine if 18 months from now you could get inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's like, that's never going to happen. I go, yeah, but you know what? It's possible.
Yeah, it is.
So Jake told me he had stopped dreaming, Roddy. Not just at night, during the day. He had no more dreams. You take a man's dreams away, you take their hope away.
Yeah.
They got nothing.
Been there.
You got nothing. So then you want to die.
Yeah.
So all I did was help him get back some hope, some dreams. And then as we went through this journey,
how many guys would invite him into their house? That's commitment.
Stone Cold said, are you out of your mind? That's what he said to me, and I was like, dude, I honestly believe I can help him if he really puts the work in. And he's like, dude, if you can turn Roberts around, and he loved Roberts, big mark for him.
Oh, yeah.
But he also know about his life, Yeah. He said, if you can do that, he goes, your really is for real.
That's the whole point of this right now. Keep going. Keep going. That's the whole point of this.
I've been very fortunate, Roddy. God has blessed me, and it's about paying it forward to me. I never thought that Jake would fail, but I never thought that Jake would make it all the way through. I thought that I'm going to do everything I can to get him to the Hall of Fame. And when we got the call about doing Old School Raw, me and you were together that day.
Yep.
And Jake was the first time he showed up at one of those functions in 16 years.
Yeah.
And that, that they called me, and Triple H is the biggest guy who put this together, and not just for Jake, but for Scott as well, because someone had to push that through.
Good for him.
And that was Triple H doing that. And he told me a year earlier, Diamond, if you can keep them straight and keep them moving forward. And I've had people say, "Oh my God, you've cured Jake Roberts, you've cured Scott Hall." I'm like, whoa, no. Because they're both alcoholics, and they're both drug addicts in Jake's scenario, Scotty with pills. But they could fall off tomorrow. I can't be there all the time, and that's why Scott lives a mile from my house. He tries to stay in contact, but you never know what's going to happen with Scott. You never know what's going to happen with Jake. Jake right now is probably in one of the best spots I've seen him, though, and not just because of the Hall of Fame. Another little bump he hit along the road, but the movie will end with him at the Hall of Fame, and then where will Jake be between now and where the movie actually is a wrap? And we're editing this thing around the clock right now because we want to have we want to be in San Francisco next year with the premiere of The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. That's our big goal. And we're not trying to just get a movie out there. We're trying to make a movie that will have Oscar nominee quality. That's what we're looking
at. Not only that, Bud, you're not making a movie, you're saving lives. There's a big difference. Just for folks, Roddy, you're going to dread you said this. It's like I got Tourette's of the truth. I get in my past suicide, different issues. One time I would go and I'd be in the room and I wouldn't put lights on for 3 days. I wouldn't come out in a hotel. And one time I had one of these things. If you've never been through them, and I understand, I can't tell you how lost and how much pain. I don't know the words for it. But I know what Jake was feeling, and I know what Scott was feeling. And if you've never been there, I hope you never are. One time I'm there in the room for 3 days, and I get a call, and it's Sergeant Slaughter. Why? I picked up the phone. I don't even know. And Sarge says to me, "Hey, Hot Rod," he says, "how you doing?" I says, I just been in the room here for 3 days. The lights aren't on. He says, "Well, damn, called maintenance." Another time, just to try to lighten up. Bad in our business, it's concussions, whatever. Bad thoughts, bad times. We're out all by ourselves. This is what this man, Diamond Dallas Page, is doing. I need you folks to understand this. Is like Judo Gene LaBelle, toughest man in the world. Not according to him either. Trained Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris.
Right.
He's my dad, and I'm going through the same kind of a phase again. And he called, and I'm saying, I just want to put a bullet in my head. And he says, "Well, we can get that done, but let's get the movie done first. And as the credits are going over, blow yourself away." So, there's sympathy in the dictionary between suicide and wrestling. But, I'm just trying to lighten it up a little bit. I'm coming back to Jake. For you folks that don't have never maybe been there, what Jake's doing, you see, Scott Hall has a reason to get better. He's got a son that loves him. He needs to take care of that son. He's got a reason. Jake the Snake has so much wonderful things to give to young wrestlers. And you know what? I've always loved Jake. Always. And you're the guy that's making this possible. So now I know you got to go. But don't go yet. Because you're in Vancouver, Canada, with the world's martial artists. And, Jake, I'm sorry. I'm getting so deep in this hole here. Pull me out, Dee.
You're ready, baby.
Yeah, you know, like I don't talk about it much, but it's like if you have a DDP in your life when you're like that, it's like an angel. I can't explain it to you. What DDP is doing, like I dare any other one of you to go get Jake the Snake with his snake and bring him home to your home for nothing just to help him. I dare you to grab Scott Hall and try to straighten him out and bring him to your home and have him live a mile away and have a man like DDP that would pick up the phone at any time, any hour, and be there for him, but at the same time teaching him his own form of DDP yoga. So you're not just saying, oh, it's all going to be all right. You got them in there working, and you're changing their lives, their attitudes, and all as we got is now. And I've never seen or heard of anybody like you, DDP. Honest. In my life, I don't have, other than you, I don't have people that care about me that much, other than my own family. And I want to tell you, it blows me away. I know it works. And if you could quickly, Chris Jericho is doing it. Is that correct? Doing DDP yoga?
Chris is like he's the guy who really made, there's like 40 guys in the WWE that do it. Probably 30 to 20 that really do it consistently.
Just give me a couple of
guys
names.
who are out are smart. Al Snow.
Edge.
Edge.
I just saw him.
Right. Yeah, right. Edge told me, because I begged him. I'm like, Edge, please do this. When I got to WWE, 14 years ago, and he even tells me, I had him on my radio show friggin' not long ago, and he was like, he begged me to do it for 10 years. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get to it. He goes, I finally got to it after my second neck operation.
Yep.
He goes, and 5 weeks in, I feel like I'm 18 again. He goes, God, I wish I was doing this. I wish I would have listened when he was working. We've got every kid down there at the WWE Performance Center. They're all doing it.
Just talk about Edge just for real quick in this DDP again. DDP Yoga, Edge. I'm in Glasgow, Scotland with Ric Flair. I'm half the tag team champions, and my hips stopped working for some reason. We don't know why.
Oh.
And boom, they squish me, and Edge goes and they put your name on the belt, and he sneaks over and unscrews the name. Him and Tommy Dreamer unscrew the name, Roddy Piper, and bring it to me so I can give it to my son. And that's when they found out I had cancer. And they took care of me and got me all. So, like, that's what you do to Edge. That's DDP stuff. And
I love that kid.
Oh, I just saw him. What a great kid. They're all great there. The WWE doesn't have anybody that's not talented. They're fantastic.
Oh, right.
And you are an incredible man. An incredible man. I know I keep saying I'll try.
Piper, when I finally get you, I'm going to own you, because you're going to go, why did you make me do this before? What were you thinking? Why did you grab me and pull me down and make me do it before?
I'm so beat up right now.
Jerry Briscoe, I got to tell you, Jerry Briscoe is my big, I swear to you, call him.
Jerry Briscoe?
Jerry Briscoe. Not that last Mania, the Mania before, when I walked in the building, he came up behind me and grabbed me, hugged me, picked me off the ground. He said, you gave me my life back.
Baby Jesus. Jerry Briscoe and I and Jack Briscoe, we're in Lynchburg. We go on first, second, and third because we're going to catch Willie Nelson in Charlotte. I'm driving 100 miles an hour. I go right by Charlotte and go all the way down to Columbia. Miss Willie. But we sang some songs, Jerry Briscoe. Holy cow. I love you so much. DDP Yoga. I can't say enough about it. When are you going to be back in the States? When are you going to be around L.A.? Or when can I come? I hurt so bad. I want to kill a gorilla.
I know you do. Why don't I tell you what? Why don't you come? No bullshit. Why don't you come out and spend a couple of days a week in my crib? I'm going to be home a lot in May and in June. Why don't you come out? Why don't you come out? I'm going to call you after this.
All right.
I'm going to give you my schedule. You come out. I will lock it in. Well, dude, you will love my family. We eat only the best, healthiest, amazing tasting food. You will love it.
I need to.
You have the invitation.
Thank you.
Have the invitation.
I'm honored. I'm honored to have you on. You're one of my favorite people. You make me cry. Kids and you're just so, you're such a man. DDP Yoga. This guy, he goes over to Hawaii for Gabriel Iglesias just to make sure he's doing his yoga. You know, it's a bit of a trip. It's a canoe ride there, I'll let you know that. God bless you, bud. What are you going to do with that karate team? Huh?
I'm about to head over because I got to work out with a lot of the top guys over there. They got the big tournament tomorrow.
Gotcha.
I don't do this. I make it so anybody can do it. And I work at everyone's level, but these are a bunch of badasses.
Yeah.
So the 50-year young man is about to walk in there. I'm gonna whoop their ass because they want me to bring it.
I love it.
They want me to bring it, but normally how I teach everybody is I only make them go as far as they feel comfortable to go, and then that tiny little bit farther. And that's why people make such amazing transitions. We watched last time I did the show with you, which was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
We watched the video of a disabled veteran that I helped walk again, lose all that weight, but lose the knee braces, the back brace, and the canes.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to see that video? We just hit over 10.5 million views. Go on ddpyoga.com and check that out just for that. Roddy, I love you. I know you got to go.
I love you too, man. Thank you
so much for having me on the show.
Thank you for being on the show. Go kick some butt there with them K-Roddy guys. And, folks, I got to start doing 2 hours. Legend House was on last night. I was going to talk about that. I was going to talk about all kinds of stuff. One of the kids that's really Dolph Ziggler in the WWE. He's doing a great job. I got to go. I have so much fun. I have so many stories to tell you. So we'll pick that up next week. I don't know what the heck we'll talk about. I know. Jesse Ventura. I'm the one who took his job. Well, so an Irish poem for you. For those who love us, may God bless. For those who don't, may God turn their hearts. And if he can't turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so we recognize them by their limp. We'll see you next time. Podcast 1. I'm Roddy Piper. You're in Piper's Pit.